You're listening to an AI audio recording generated to make our content easier to consume, whenever and wherever works best for you. Now let's dive in to discuss TechCXO's blog article, Designing a Winning Talent Strategy for Private Equity Portfolio Companies. Why the right people in the right seats is the ultimate lever for turning a financial thesis into a high-performing reality. A private equity investment thesis is only as good as the people executing it. While financial models and revenue roadmaps are essential, the successful rollout of each ultimately depends on having the right people in the right seats. In our work with PE firms and their portfolio companies, we find that talent is often the most overlooked lever in the first 100 days. And while even the simplest of talent strategies are set up to address filling open positions, the most robust will also help build an infrastructure that can support the weight of scaling a business from a founder-led operation to a professionally managed enterprise. In many newly acquired companies, the HR function can sometimes be reactive and transactional, with the focus placed on payroll and compliance rather than strategy. We refer to this phenomenon as structural underinvestment, and it can quickly lead to compounding costs. The cost of a bad hire goes far beyond the recruiter fee. It includes the loss of institutional knowledge, burnout among remaining employees, and reputational harm. A successful talent strategy mitigates these risks by aligning HR directly with finance. When these functions are siloed, companies experience hiring surges, only later to be followed by painful cuts because labor costs are not tied to realistic financial forecasts. Integrating these functions allows for smart hiring where every headcount addition is validated against the value creation plan. To professionalize the organization, the talent strategy must move beyond subjective gut feel hiring. It requires a rigorous framework for evaluating talent readiness. One effective method is assessing employees on two dimensions. Right people, do they align with the company's core values and culture? Right seats, do they have the capacity and desire to do the job required at the next stage of growth? Often the team that got the company to $10 million in revenue is not the team that will get it to $50 million. This doesn't always mean firing everyone. It means identifying who is coachable and who is a barrier to scale. A comprehensive talent strategy also focuses on systematization, replacing tribal knowledge trapped in individuals' heads with documented processes and scalable workflows. Future proofing, hiring not just for today's fires, but for the exit 3 to 5 years down the road. This means building a management team capable of running a larger, more complex business that will pass buyer due diligence. Culture as a KPI, treating culture not as a soft metric, but as a leading indicator of performance. Regular assessments can identify misalignments before they turn into turnover. Ultimately, the success of a 100-day plan hinges on execution. And execution is entirely dependent on the people within the organization. A disciplined talent strategy does more than just fill seats. It ensures that human capital becomes a predictable driver of returns rather than a variable risk, providing the stability needed to reach the next stage of growth. FAQ: Why is talent strategy so often overlooked in the first 100 days after a PE acquisition? With executive cost per hire doubling since 2017 and time to fill averaging 45 days, waiting for a permanent CHRO can stall momentum. A fractional CHRO can immediately step in to assess the organizational structure, implement performance management systems, and lead the search for permanent leadership. This allows the PE firm to execute its talent strategy immediately, ensuring that the people side of the equation keeps pace with financial and operational improvements, What does a robust talent strategy look like for a PE portfolio company? Most private equity firms enter a new acquisition with strong financial models and revenue roadmaps, but the people side of the equation tends to get less attention in the critical early weeks. The HR function in many newly acquired companies is reactive and transactional, focused on payroll and compliance rather than strategy. TechCXO refers to this as structural underinvestment, and it can quickly lead to compounding costs. The team that got a company to $10 million in revenue is often not the team that will get it to $50 million. And without a deliberate talent strategy from day one, that gap becomes a drag on the entire investment thesis. What is the right people, right seats framework, and how does it apply to portfolio companies? The right people, right seats framework evaluates employees on two dimensions. Right people asks whether an individual aligns with the company's core values and culture. Right seats asks whether they have both the capability and the drive to perform the role required at the next stage of growth. Applying this framework does not mean replacing everyone on the existing team. It means identifying who is coachable and capable of growing with the business, and who represents a barrier to scale. This kind of honest assessment done early prevents costly leadership gaps from compounding during the most critical phase of the investment cycle. What are the real costs of a bad hire in a PE-backed company? The cost of a bad hire goes far beyond the recruiter fee. It includes the loss of institutional knowledge when someone exits, burnout among the remaining team who absorb the gap, and reputational harm that can make future recruiting harder. In a PE context, these costs are amplified because every month below plan erodes internal rate of return. A disciplined talent strategy mitigates these risks by aligning HR directly with finance and ensuring that hiring decisions are made against a clear standard tied to the company's growth stage and exit timeline, not just the urgency of an open seat. How should PE firms think about culture when building a talent strategy? Culture should be treated as a key performance indicator, not a soft or secondary concern. When culture is measured and monitored regularly, misalignments surface before they turn into turnover. In a founder led business transitioning to professional management, culture often shifts significantly after an acquisition. Left unmanaged, that shift can erode the very qualities that made the business valuable in the first place. PE firms that build culture assessments into their operating rhythm, alongside financial and operational metrics, are better positioned to retain top performers and present a cohesive organization to prospective buyers at exit. What role does a fractional CHRO play in executing a PE talent strategy? With executive cost per hire having doubled since 2017 and average time to fill sitting at 45 days, waiting for a permanent CHRO can stall momentum precisely when the investment thesis needs to move fastest. A fractional CHRO from TechCXO can step in immediately to assess the organizational structure, implement performance management systems, and lead the search for permanent leadership. This allows the PE firm to execute its talent strategy from day one, ensuring the people side of the equation keeps pace with financial and operational improvements. The fractional model eliminates recruiting delays while still delivering the senior HR leadership that portfolio companies need to scale. How does TechCXO help PE portfolio companies build a talent strategy that drives exit readiness? Ultimately, the success of any 100-day plan hinges on execution, and execution depends entirely on the people within the organization. TechCXO works directly with PE firms and their portfolio companies to ensure that human capital becomes a predictable driver of returns rather than a variable risk. Through fractional CHRO leadership, TechCXO helps build management teams capable of running larger, more complex businesses, replaces tribal knowledge with documented and scalable processes, and puts the performance management systems in place that demonstrate organizational health to prospective buyers. Companies that have invested in their talent infrastructure with the right leadership support are simply easier to acquire, easier to value, and easier to close at a premium.